I didn't understand like what it meant to design a full product and like think about, because during the internship we're doing like basic things like, oh, design this page. But the entire user journey, I did not get it until that point. So when you say things like, oh, Alison, you designed this page, but what happens when they click here? I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. So now I have to do it. And it's like, okay, but how do they sign up? Oh, I didn't think about that. So like, it was just, you need to think about every step of everything. User experience. Every call to action leads somewhere. What happens if there's an error? What happens if it doesn't work? What happens at every point? You think about the entire user journey. And I think that's another very big point, because he was frustrated having to work with me. Like, why did I tell you everything? When like, I really don't know. So
because you don't
exactly,
you kind of just knew how to do the designs.
So it was everything. Like, if you're a finalist, I expect that you should know these things. But like, yeah, I'm a finalist, but like, I didn't get the whole stuff. It wasn't a school. It was like me self-teaching and putting in everything that I have taught myself. So I didn't get this part of the whole thing. So I was doing for like 3 months, and then we had to end because like he had other things he was doing. He couldn't think about launching the product, and he couldn't hire people to continue building what I had done. So we put a pin on that. And then still in COVID, this is like November of 2020. I see this beautiful website. I don't know how I even found it.
mtsafrica.com. That was a shameless plug for my website. You said this is a beautiful website. Go check it out. But I digress.
I see a beautiful website, and I'm like, I want to know who did this thing. Then I go to the company. It's called Hagbolex, by the way. I think they folded. They're not longer. I don't know if they're still working, but I haven't heard of them in a while. So I go to their team page, and I see senior product designer Chris Steve. I'm like, I ain't talk to this guy. I go to his Facebook. I stalk him, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. And I'm like, how do I get this person? And then I see that we have a mutual on my WhatsApp. And I asked this guy to connect me.
WhatsApp? How do you see you have a mutual on WhatsApp?
So I have a friend who worked there as a customer support something. Okay. So that was actually how I found the website, because we were also posting the links. So like, oh, could you introduce me? He's like, yeah, the guy's busy. Yeah, okay, I'll check in tomorrow. Hey, could you introduce me? Yeah, we're in a meeting right now. Okay, I'll check in tomorrow. For like 2 weeks. I was buzzing. I need to talk to this person. I felt like I didn't want to reach out on my own, because like it would be harder to get a response when you go by yourself. Now when somebody introduces you, sadly. Yeah. Really, when you're a junior designer who has almost nothing to offer. Like if they are responding to you,
why would they want to talk to you?
Like, they probably won't talk to you. Or maybe won't even maybe just forget. They're really busy people. Yeah. So then finally, after I keep disturbing this guy, and he's like, you know what, Alison, you are being a pain in my ass. I'm going to introduce you to this person. And then he shares his, I don't know if it was email or Twitter handle with me, and tells the guy that, oh, she will message you. So now he's expecting me. And I go to his email, I'm like, oh, I got your contact from this person, and I really like to ask a few questions if you give me 20 minutes of your time. And he's like, yeah, sure. I have lunch break from 12 to 12:30, so let's do 12 to 12:20 the next day. And I set up the meeting. And we have the call. Chris Steve gets on the call. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm here now. What do you need? I'm like, you've been a designer for 6 years. At the time, it was 6 years. If you were to go back to your day one, what would you do differently? Wow. That question sounds very simple. But here's the thing. Before you tell me what you would do differently, you have to tell me what you've done. So it's like, tell me about yourself. And then he had to... So the 20 minutes became like an hour call. He told me everything he had done. And like, oh, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't do this way, because like it was a very bad way to go about it. Or it won't work in this time because of like the things that are going on right now. So from there, we became mentor-mentee and became, close pals, I guess. He's getting married next month, by the way, so...
Shout out to him.
Shout out if you watch this video, hi. But yeah, that was another turning point, because he gave me so much insight that I'm like, yes, I have enough to change the world right now. I took all the notes from that meeting, I started applying it, and then a week later, I sent him a design I had done to help me review. I didn't think he would check it, honestly, because I know his schedule is really tight. But I'm like, I want to put this on my portfolio. I want to know if it is good enough. If you saw this on my portfolio, would you hire me? And he's like, did you do this? I said, yes. I said, okay, cool. This looks really good. would you like to intern with us?
Wow.
I would pay to intern with you. And then I get a 2-month internship from that conversation. That's actually how we grew our relationship. That's like 4 years ago, I guess.
And you know what? Just to add on what you just said, it just strongly shows how just you can think that something is unachievable, or at least reaching out to someone is something that you can never possibly do because I'm not big enough for
exactly.
doing that. So I was also having a conversation with Stacey Jim, who has been a guest on this podcast, and her saying that her strategy about whether it's getting clients or getting information or even just talking to mentors is literally just sending a LinkedIn DM. Hey, I saw you did a social media post on this. I'd love to have a conversation with you, or I admire your work. If you could just give me 20 minutes of your time, I would appreciate it. And most times you'll be surprised that people do actually say yes, especially if it's something that it feels like they would be helping you grow whatever it is that you're doing. So I really appreciate that he also just gave you the chance, because it's not easy. You can send an email, it doesn't work. You can end up sending a Twitter, it doesn't work. But as long as you just put yourself out there, it's, and one way or another, it will end up paying out. So I'm happy that happened to you, because it also led you into doing an internship.
It did.
With them. So
working with Christy was crazy. It was just 2 months, but I don't know if he knows how much impact he made in my life in those 2 months. We were using Adobe XD at the time, which was not the most convenient tool, to be honest. I'm coming from Figma to Chaos, so it wasn't working for me. But I would see him. So how it would work was he would tell me to design something and I'd do it. And he's like, not good enough. Let's take it from this angle. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. And I would do something better than what I did before, but it's not good enough. Then he would design it and I'm seeing, oh yeah, this is what we were talking about. So in the next task, I would try to apply the principles I saw him do in this one. Still wouldn't be as good as he would do it, obviously. But I would just really like to see how he would give me one prompt, take the same prompt. We would both do the same, like work with the same prompt, but like two different quality of work. And I'm like, yeah, that's the standard. We're getting there. So I ended the internship, unfortunately, because the company was willing to hire anybody else full time. It was just him. And then I moved on to, what the next thing I did? I think I was freelancing for a bit. And then this is me learning and learning. I've done multiple challenges online where I would design stuff every day for a period of time and post them. And it was a lot of work. People felt like I was doing too much. But here's the thing. I was job hunting at the time. Actually, how David found me, by the way. I was posting designs continuously on Twitter and he found me. But it helped me grow. With every iteration, with every day, I would have close friends, people like Chris and other senior designers that I was talking to. They'll give me feedback. I'll take that feedback, apply it to the work I'm doing tomorrow. So it was basically iterative over time. And when I look at the work that I did from my first challenge in 2021 to the one I did last year, there's significant progress. I'm doing this thing repeatedly. Which is why I tell people the only way to learn how to design is to design. You can watch all the YouTube videos on this internet. You can take all the courses. If you don't put it to practice, it's not doing anything for you. So
you can only read theory for so long.
Exactly.
Just view what people are doing.
You need to apply that theory to practical. Otherwise, it makes no sense. No company is going to hire you because you know all the principles of design or you've read all the books. If they do, I want to see. That's the thing about tech space. Nobody cares about how many degrees you have. Can you do the work? You could be male, female, child, adults, gay, straight, but whatever you are. If you can't do the work, the qualifications don't matter. You can have a PhD in design. If I don't see proof of work, I'm like, you have actually applied your theory and gotten results. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
And you know what, Alison, I will say, in your context, it's design, but I think that's everything that you end up doing as a career path in general. For you to be the best marketer, you just have to every day think about what is this campaign? This billboard is interesting. What was the thought process? Who did this copy? What will it take to do it to market in an airport? What will it do to market in this? If you want to be a good engineer, you obviously have to dedicate your life and soul at some point to engineering and coding, because it doesn't happen overnight. And one thing I will say is, I think, are we able to just show a bit of your work, like on screen, that you'll share with us, and just people can see Alison's work? I think you have clearly what you've described is experiences that you've been practicing every single day, and your work translates, because when I do see your work and your design challenges, you can see that this is a lot. You've put in your 10,000 hours and then some. So yeah.
Just to highlight, I feel like this was not a conscious decision in the beginning.
Yes, before you even, okay, sorry for interrupting
Go
you,
ahead.
but where did biochemistry follow through in this whole process that you now became so invested in the design work?
This is a recent discovery, but a friend of mine made me think about my life from where I'm coming from to now. I've always been a curious person. I always want to know. People say I'm nosy. I say it's curiosity. I want to know what, how, and why. Which is why medicine was perfect, because things that nobody's thinking about. You have a hiccup. You're thinking about how to take water and be fine. I'm thinking about what triggered that hiccup. Did you eat something? Do you have some electrolyte imbalance? Do you have a molar imbalance? What's going on in your system on an atomic level, on a molecular level? What is going on in the details that we are now seeing as symptoms?